I'm Yangdu, daughter of Nawang Gombu, wife of Yangdu Goba.
Yes.
And it's what,
So
17th
you were
of
born
February?
in Darjeeling.
Yes, I was born in Darjeeling.
Okay. Which year?
61,
Uh-huh.
April 28th.
Arey, wow.
That's the
So-
day I think my father got his Padma Shri or Padma Bhushan on 28th.
That year.
April, I think 64 it was, but 28th April.
Uh-huh. So then what are your memories? I mean, just little thing what you, Darjeeling, how you were brought up, what did you remember, what did you enjoy?
Darjeeling, it was, I guess, memories of HMI. Because growing up in HMI, we were in like a cocoon, a bubble.
Uh-huh.
So, and it was interesting because, one thing we couldn't get along, I mean, when we used to go to town and, the Sherpa annual functions, they used to call us Barsil ko Bandar, like monkeys of, because...
Why monkey?
Because we used to always stay together, we never mixed around because we really had no social life outside of HMI. Like for us it was forced, like we had to attend every passing out ceremony, every social event, lots of VIPs coming, so go and meet them. So our entire life was revolved inside HMI.
How was in HMI? There were other instructors there? Children?
Yeah, the other instructors, children, so we were 4 houses in a row. So all the children, like we used to really get along well together. So for us it was, and our parents, like whenever our father goes to the mountains, we used to be very happy because we used to think that, when he comes back, he's always bringing chocolates. So all of us
Yeah,
really...
But on the course, how will he bring chocolates?
No, we all thought that, he used to say, we all believed that there were chocolates in the mountains. Because every time he comes back, and then it was much later that we realized that he was saving...
mountains.
Yeah, we thought it was sort of growing in the mountains or there are shops in the mountains. That was what we were made to believe. Because he used to come back with a lot of chocolates, and then later on we realized that it was all his ration. So he would not eat, and not only him, even the other instructors.
HMI courses also same?
HMI courses, no, the courses were longer. It was, I think, less students, but it was more, I think it was a bit more interesting.
Because I remember it was a 45-day course.
Yeah, 32 days something, and then they, in the base camp, and so there were HMI courses in December at that time. So December, like our schools were over in November, then we were packed up to base camp. With the last course, we had to accompany to base camp.
Base camp also.
Yeah. So that we just stayed there, it was cold, we didn't realize, so we used to just do a lot of bouldering. And I say, like we used to sort of actually show off because we were just young, but because we knew all the rocks, the HMI boulders.
Yeah.
So if somebody was unable to boulder, we used to like try and go and climb it and show off and all.
But your siblings were interested, Ongmu and
Ongmu went much later. Finjo and myself, we went, and Ritaji. And then one year it was with Dicky, Jamling, Tenzin Sherpas, the children and all. So so it was quite nice because all of us kids were there together. It was not the other HMI instructors, no. It was mainly Tenzing's children and Gaga's children and us. No, their kids never really came up to base camp.
They were of a different thing, because they were staying in Tumsung and all that.
No, they were staying in the HMI area only. And one thing was, my father, one thing I remember is, he was always very keen on learning English properly. So he insisted that we also speak to him in English.
He was born in Darjeeling?
No, he was not born in Darjeeling. He was born in near Rongbuk.
Rongbuk? Oh
Yeah.
my God.
And then he came over from...
Which village, do you remember exactly which village of Rongbuk?
I'm not too sure, I don't remember. Somewhere near Rongbuk. I just know that he studied there.
Studied there? Okay.
Yeah, he was a monk there and then he left.
Oh, he became a monk?
He became a monk.
From the Kharta side.
Kharta side, no?
Yes.
Yeah, and then...
You can come, both of you together.
Kangshung
side. Yeah.
Just come in this, my camera will
Yeah.
cover both of you. So speak in
Kangshung
loud.
side. Yeah, then... Yeah, he came across with this man from Megma. Who is this Lama? Madan Tamang's father or somebody. They came together. And it said that he went into the sewer, sewer something, and that's how he came out. He left the monastery and crossed to Thame.
No, it's not this. I mean, those days we never had sewer. Like, it's just that all the high altitude, like Tibet and Ladakh, the toilet is just a hole.
Yes.
And we use a lot of soil with the toilet.
Yeah, to decompose.
It becomes a manual, later on. It's I mean, you every year before you start farming, you take out the manure and you
Yes.
leave it in the open in the sun for many days to kill all the bacteria under the sun. So after that, then you put it in the field. So when he went inside the thing and he jumped through the hole, and then that's how
he ran away, no?
ran away from
Madan
rock.
Tamang's.
Yeah.
But why to run away? They are
He was-
voluntary, no?
No, what I'm not exactly sure. What I think is probably he was very much interested in what his uncle was
did.
doing.
He wanted to follow Tenzing, his uncle Tenzing
Footsteps.
Sherpa.
He didn't want to become a monk. He wanted to become. And those days, when people
And
grew
the
up,
first child will go to monastery now.
Yeah,
That's
because
why
his
he
father,
decided.
even his father, like our grandfather was also a monk. So then that's why, and then he was very keen on following like Tenzing Sherpa, becoming a mountaineer. And he was like sort of what do you say, he was very, he tends to become very persistent. Like if he wants to follow something, he'll really push for it. And I remember like, okay, we had to do a lot of, till my mom's brother was alive, he used to do all his letter writing. So he passed away when we were about, I think I was about 12, because his daughter also died at the same time. So after that, all the letter writing shifted to us. So it was not very easy, like as a 10, 12-year-old writing letters.
Yeah.
So it fell on Ritaji and then me, two of us to sit and write the letters. So we didn't know how to word it. So whatever letters used to come, we should look at it and sort of more or less copy what the other person has written. So that's how I think we just sort of landed up writing all his letters. And he used to love reading, even though he had a lot of problems, obviously, reading, because he's not
He
educated.
wrote in English?
Yeah, he tried to improve his writing and spelling. So he would be constantly coming to us, asking us how to pronounce this, what does this word mean. Then he learned, he had a dictionary, he learned how to look up the dictionary to see what words it was. So his spellings and all, obviously, you can't expect it to be perfect, but he always made an effort. He used to sit and write and write.
No, but he made
Yeah.
the effort, that is important.
He made the effort, and
Yeah.
he used to read a lot, and he used to read out aloud, because obviously he couldn't really, so we could also help him. So that's one thing, like he bought a lot of books and he read a lot. He just loved
Now
reading.
going back a little, from Tibet, how did he come to Darjeeling? How was that whole thing happened?
He hasn't really told
the
me,
whole
but-
family moved, or he only moved, or
No,
what?
it was him and his sister. His sister came later. Domanti, I think, came later, no? Domanti came later. I think he moved on his own, and then they came to Thame, because that's where Tenzing Sherpa was also, in
That was
Thame.
the high pass, he just
Yeah.
came out to Thane.
He came to Thame, and then from Thame, then he followed, and they came to Darjeeling and all.
Okay.
Yeah, right. But he was always like pushy in the sense, if he wanted to be, like, he should try his best and all. That's what I heard. And he was a good rock climber, so he would, if he couldn't climb a rock, he would kick that rock and try again, So he would always push himself. He wanted always to be above the other Sherpas. So like when Finjo also was saying that, there was, I think, Auntie Rita, Miss Rita, she used to teach English and all. So all the little kids, the Sherpas and all, would go to, not little, he was grown up only. And my father was the only one who was persistent in going and learning how to read and write alphabets, and all the other Sherpas used to laugh at him. He's there, he's going to study and all, and what is he going to do? So he was saying that in the end, like, it was he who had the last laugh, because that helped him a lot, and then because of that little bit of English, yeah, and that's why in 1963, when he was called to the US after the first Everest expedition, he was more like a translator with all the other Sherpas, because he could at least communicate. Like, it was all sort of broken English, but at least he could communicate and get through, and he became very popular. I think everybody really loved him on the expeditions because of his, especially his like a gusto, like he was always he would want to carry the maximum load, reach the first, be the best.
Achha, you were born in Darjeeling.
Yes.
He was with you all the time. Is that- except
Most
for
of
your
the time, no,
expeditions?
not
Except for
more than expeditions was the courses. The HMI courses used to, like, they were always going out. And I don't remember so much of the expeditions, because I think in 64, after Nanda Devi and all, then he really didn't do any, like, big climbs and all as such. But every summer he would go to Mount Rainier to earn a little bit of extra
Now, at that
money.
time, how did he get the American connection? Before
Because
the
of Jim
expedition?
Whittaker. It was
Before
only after
expedition?
60, after 63.
But before that?
No, not before that, he didn't have any connection, but it was after 63. And it was who, I think for Makalu also he was recommended, no? Somebody recommended him.
Yeah, that was after the Everest expedition.
Yeah.
The first, I forgot his name. He was recommended as a Siddhar for the Makalu expedition. That was, I think, 1956. I think.
And he kept his contacts, like, because like it was, we know how he because I was doing a lot of his letter writing, so we had to write letters, and he kept contact with all his team members. That way he was very thing. He used to make sure.
But the team members also write it back.
Yes,
to you?
yes.
So
We
where
used to
are those
receive
letters?
letters. I'll have to hunt for them. I
don't
know. I hope it's not burnt, because Ongu burnt a lot of things.
Those letters are gold today. Gold, I'm telling you.
I'm telling you, Ongu has burnt a lot, so I don't know. She's a
Why
lot of
not
things.
scan them, digitize them. You keep the original.
Yeah, and I'll have to look for it.
Well,
They need
latest
to.
letter.
They need to.
We haven't actually, ever since he passed away, we haven't really, we've just locked up his things. We haven't really sat and gone through, and
These
so we need to
papers
spend
also
time.
Deteriorate. They go away. These papers fade
Yeah.
away. Better do now.
Yeah, I mean, there are one thing this is one thing I've been. If you say too much, also that's a problem, because then they have to decide. This he has been gifted a small piece of rock by Yuri Gagarin when he landed first
Wow.
on the moon.
Neil Armstrong.
Sorry, Neil Armstrong.
Neil Armstrong.
Neil Armstrong. So that I'm not sure where it is.
Where
now.
it is.
I'll have to go home and look for
They
it.
don't know. Imagine what it will be.
Yeah, everything.
So
Acha, chalo, we back to the story. Then 50s ma, you were growing up, and he was going
60s,
for
yeah, he was going for the mountains.
basic courses and all. And then he went. First time, when did he go for Everest?
Everest was, I think, in
Because Indians
1960.
went in
Yeah, that in
1960.
60.
Did you go
I
for
think
that?
I think he was there in
Yes, he was
60.
there.
Yeah, he was there in
Yeah,
60.
with he and Bull Kumar, in fact, Colonel Narendra Kumar told me they were the pair, and they managed to go very high, but due to very strong wind and thing, they could not continue. But he was on all the Indian expedition. He was
62 also is there.
among the first team always.
But
And he was very
not going by
vocal.
this time. Tenzing
No,
had
no.
retired.
After that, he didn't do any
No,
expeditions. Then Tenzing
because
Sherpa.
after he climbed Everest, he never tried to go back again on to Everest because.
Whereas the father, he liked mountain climbing itself. So then he would Nanda Devi, and he was very vocal.
Nanda Devi, how was he went? I mean, how he was selected, gone. But that was after
That
the
was
64
after the up
Nanda Devi
64.
went
Yeah.
64.
So we were too young. We just
After
don't remember.
63.
63.
Yeah, we just know that he went to the mountains, and because living in HMI, we had all the instructors. They kept going on expeditions, and it used to be a bit worrying because we used to
Now,
get worried.
He would come back, won't he tell you some stories of what happened, or would you inquire?
Not really,
who
not
climbed?
really.
Eh?
No, not so much. Like he'll talk, but it was like the whole thing was only mountains in the institute, like.
Yeah, yeah.
And coming home also, I remember for the Indian Everest expedition, all this Baguna and all, everybody had come home, and they were all like, so he was going through knots and things. So all of them used to come home. That 85 one, I remember, they all had come
There were
home
other
too.
stories, nothing you remember. When he came back from some Americans, did he say
No.
something? How
No,
was
no,
it?
no, we
Nice,
were too small. No, we don't
Tidbit.
remember.
Okay.
But all I know is because then after 63, then later on when he started, the actual reason he went to the US also was so that he could earn extra money
Yes.
for our education. He was bent on us being well educated.
But that's also very
Yeah.
good.
So like compared to all the other instructors, in fact, like Autamba's children, they used to later on they used to tell their father like how come they could go to English schools, like everybody's getting the same salary.
Yeah, yeah.
And they've put them through English schools, and you didn't put us through an English school. You didn't give us the education. But he was absolutely bent that we all be educated. He actually never wanted us to take up mountaineering also. Nothing to do with the mountains. He said you'll have to have proper desk jobs, and
Correct.
not work like how we worked. You should never take mountaineering as a means of earning your money. So Mount Rainier, he went. It was good kind of the Whitakers, because they took him every summer, and he earned extra money, so he could, for us it was much better. So, and he was, as a father, there was something that he always brought presents, always. And now when I look at the house also, I've realized that every single thing that we have in the house has actually been placed by him and bought by him. Souvenirs, even things like bed sheets, household items, everything he used to buy. I remember him going to Sri Lanka. When he came back with this huge dinner set.
Yeah.
So like all the household things, he put everything together. You know, he
was
always
the only mountaineer. He was a father.
yeah. So he was really he made sure, you know, like I don't know why, but he always, and all our clothes and all. So every time he used to go to the US and all, then he used to bring us nice jackets and T-shirts, school bags, you know, shoes. So these things, nothing was available here. So like we used to find it like wow, you know. When actually a lot of it was like given to him, and because he used to work for Jansport he used to model their thing, clothing and all. So they used to give him, and even from Mount Rainier. So we literally grew up wearing Mount Rainier stuff. Mount Rainier and Jansport was like what our household. Nothing else. We never wore anything else because he used to bring that only.
So after Nanda Devi went to Everest second time, and then what? After second Everest, he did something.
I don't remember much.
No.
I think he went then he had through smaller expeditions. I think
Smaller,
so. Koktang and all
maybe
these. Yeah.
Because after 65 till 70s, he was little, you know, there's not much they did. He was just busy with the
HMI.
Institute HMI, very much involved with that. And then 70s, that's when he really started going back to US.
To the US.
That was the time.
That time we were about 13, 14 and we were about 10, 12 and when he went to the US and came, then 1 year I remember because it was really difficult for us also because there was no sort of money and you know, then we found out that the 3 months the HMI stopped his salary, so they didn't give any salary.
Because he went to US.
So he went to the US, so they didn't give his salary. So, but then they wanted him to teach the institute.
The new
So
techniques,
all the new techniques, because in Rainier he was learning all the latest techniques. He was up to date with everything. He used to go for a refresher course and all. And then finally he said, okay, fine, I will teach, but then you have to release my salary. So that was the only way. Then they released his salary. And in fact, I think HMI, all that self-arrest, everything is what he taught them. I think they're still doing the same thing. They're still sort of more or less doing things. Yeah. So he would always, Mount Rainier was a blessing for us also. And like little things like Latu Uncle was a thing, you know, to make sure that we are comfortable. It was always because money obviously crunched with 4 children and all. So he would like equipment and all he would bring. He would even sell equipment. Then my mother had started making these jackets. You know, she had kept a tailor and she started selling, making these windproof jackets which she used to sell in the stores and all. So, you know, things like that. But he just made sure that we had to really, really study hard.
But that's never stop your education.
No. For him, education was the most important. Like he said, you know, you'll have to learn to speak English.
Made you reach today where
Yeah,
you are,
and what we are now is totally because of him, because he didn't cut corners where education is concerned.
Same with same motto. I mean, Bale sent him to Tyndall Disco School. That's why he studied this. Otherwise, studying in a local school, he would not have never made.
Because when we went on a trek and somehow he used to always take me on treks, and then once on the Everest trek.
Then, is not interested at all.
No. So on the Everest trek, when we were walking, I didn't want to go up to Kalapathar, and you know, when we were going up from Tiang Boche, I was grumbling. Then there were these young Sherkunis with all these yaks walking. So he said, if I had stayed in Khumbu, this is what you'd be doing.
Yeah.
You know, you'd be walking behind that yak like that little girl.
Yeah.
So after that, then I realized, okay, you know, like we are much more privileged. You know, I think all of us who came to Darjeeling, because people from our age there none of them are educated. So what he said was correct. If he had stayed in Khumbu, we would definitely, you know, we would have just been a yak herder. Life would have been totally, totally different. Yeah. And he loved us to interact with other people, meet
so
people.
My next question.
Yeah.
All you met. Anybody remember?
No, I remember Henrik Harrer and all coming home. Henrik Harrer.
So what did you talk? You had any chat?
No, we were small, and then we just made him sign the book, and you know, there were too many people coming, but I remember Henrik Harrer very well because I'd read the book also 7 years in Tibet.
Signed book just now?
It should be at home in Darjeeling.
Samalo.
Yeah, I should. Yeah. So there was always dignitaries coming
who
home.
else you say?
I don't know.
Who you came, you met or Gombu that
There
used to meet?
so many. I don't know. A lot of these mountaineers. It was mainly mountaineers. This Morris Herzog, like everybody used to come home, and my mother was a great host. So you know, there'd be dinner at the HMI, but the cocktails, and they would all come to our house for the snacks and cocktails, and then go on to HMI. So that was a lot of entertaining that they did, all the dignitaries especially. And he was actually a very forceful person. If he wanted something, like, he would just go for it. And he kept in touch with everyone, and he was very thing with the Sherpas. Like, in fact, because he used to help other children get admission, so we were doing a lot of letter writing to the principals of schools, and then he would go to get the admission. So in fact, the priests in North Point, he used to joke. He said, like, Gombu, like, are you getting a commission for putting these children into school?
Yes.
Because he was bent on education. He really wanted,
passion for education.
his passion. In fact, his last, when he was dying in his deathbed, I remember Rita ji saying, okay, we want to fulfill what to, and she said, okay, we can send people to do the HMI courses, sponsor them. He said no. He said education, because he was always bent that you have to educate. He felt that was the main thing, and if you are well educated, you can go far in life. And when Ongmu also, she got into XLRI as MBA thing, he went down, settled her down in the room, got everything ready for her. So he was that kind of a person. Like, even though he was in the mountains, but when he was at home, he actually was quite a family man now when I think back. Because the fact that everything in the house, what he bought, every single thing. He used to bring souvenirs, but he was one person who was known for, like, bringing gifts. Like, he would always, and it was like things that were given to him, so he'd always save up. It was never for himself, it was always to give others.
Now, at that time we were in teens, so that time you remember 15, 17,
Yeah.
when he used to come home, and whether you be very happy waiting for him.
Yeah, we were all, because we knew that we'd get
Chocolates.
chocolate.
There were some
For the
stories.
mountaineering courses, it was always chocolates, and then at other times would be like, he'd bring us nice stuff and all. So he just wanted to keep working hard, mainly is to see us through, actually. So it was like, whenever we were writing letters and all, everything, and it was a lot of helping other people. Like my cousin, like I was, I think was Kohli in Delhi. When I had just finished school and all, college, I was still in college, and we were having these problems in Darjeeling. They had written to my father, they wanted me to become the first woman rafting guide, because I was already going in the outdoors, they knew. So they said, your daughter can become the first rafting guide in the country. But then, like, he was such a thoughtful person. He said, look, you can do other things. Then my nephew, first cousin brother, he was quite a character in the house, and in the neighborhood, drinking, fighting and all. So he said, let's send him. Then he'll straighten up, he'll earn money, he'll learn a skill. So we sent him. So instead of me, I remember writing the letter myself, saying this would be, like, from my father, saying that for Jigme we want to make him a rafting guide. And he actually went on to become, I think, India's, the finest kayaker, and he was a fantastic rafting guide. Unfortunately, a few years ago he died due to drinks and all. But he was an excellent, just a superb guide. He was like, I think kayaking, like, he'd do anything. He was like just on the top. And so he was like that, so, just helping people.
Then remember, Gombu Daju was with the Sherpa Buddhist Association, and there
Yes.
he did a lot of work for Sherpas. What was that?
Sherpas, the Buddhist Association, after he took over, he felt that, all the Sherpas in Tungsung, everybody lived in these tiny one-room houses. Like, one room, you have the kitchen there, everything there, and the bathroom is common, shared. And it was a very small monastery. So and Sherpas, like, we have our Buddhist rituals, Gyawa, like, so when somebody dies, and then when you're getting married also, like, so more is than the death. So he wanted that place. He got all the people who were living around that area, he gave them money and got them vacated. And then I remember him taking me when it was being built and just ready. So he had made this big kitchen, nice kitchen area with a dining. So he said, when anybody dies, the Sherpa community, everybody can come and do their gyawa out here. He's saying, but this place should not be used for weddings. It's not a celebration kind of a place, because it's a holy place. So all the Sherpas can come here and do the gyawa. Then they don't have to, it'll be much easier. And so practically now, the entire Sherpa community, the 49-day ceremony, we have to book in advance, and the members have to get a very, very subsidized rate. And below that, he's built extra rooms from the monastery. So he's saying that be like a dharamshala. Now they've named it, I think, Tenzing Norgay Dharamshala. So he's saying you have a lot of these poor Sherpas coming from remote villages. They come for medical treatment. They don't have a place to stay. So for them, they have these rooms. So they have the rooms there, and then the monastery has been renovated. Now Fursuma uncle is taken over, and he's done a fantastic job in really doing it up well. So everybody appreciates like that room, the dining area has become, you know, like all the Sherpas, for them, like now anything, they all go. And the monastery has really become functional, and it's been revived now.
No, but that is great, because you know, among one major comment about Tenzing Sherpa was that after Everest he did nothing for Sherpas. So that is what you know, Gombu Daju is one up on that. I mean, he did really care for his community.
No, that he cared. We had the entire Sherpa community coming home, you know, mainly for help, and it's like I told you, letter writing was one. And then my mother went round getting all the documents correct for all the Sherpas, helping them open the bank accounts, getting the children admitted to school. In fact, I believe when she got married and came to HMI, like Lakpaji and all were pretty big Angtemba's children, and none of them were going to school. So she went and she got them admission in all the schools. So many Sherpa kids, everybody more or less used to get educated. I mean, she used to go and get them admitted in schools and open their bank accounts. So any problems, they used to come to us. And then some Sherpas died in expeditions, then insurance, you know. So we used to be writing the letters so that they get their insurance and all. So that was because he wanted us to do it, and even my mother helped. So we were constantly, we just had people just coming home, and you know, asking for help to please, like I told you, admissions, then jobs. So he got a lot of the Sherpas admitted into the, not ITB, ITB also, and there was another thing in the army, but mainly in the ITB, he got a lot of them, got them jobs there.
What about his Delhi connection? I believe you knew Nehru and others. So what was that? Anybody came? Anybody you met?
Yeah, they came home. Yeah,
Gandhi or
Nehru.
anybody?
Yeah, they've also come. They've all, because in HMI the thing was like when all these VIP, like I guess the earlier principals and all. One thing good also they did was we were very few houses, and Sherpas and all generally, okay, we are people with you know, the earlier generation coming from villages and with no knowledge of many things. So it was like when the VIPs come, we had house inspections. So whoever had the cleanest house, the shiniest pots and utensils, the best garden outside. So our houses were prim and proper, and we had these iron stands, I remember, with lots of potted flowers. So everybody used to take pride in who had the best thing. And I believe prizes were given, but I guess we were too young. But so we had all these VIPs come to visit us. Like I remember Indira Gandhi and all, they all came door to door to all, inspect all the houses is to come.
That's a real privilege, Prime Minister visiting your house.
Oh yeah, he used to visit the houses. All the VIPs, and then they used to, you know, all of us had to be lined up there outside a house. Then they used to introduce their wives, the children. So, and the HMI, like, and especially the social, after the passing out graduation ceremony was a massive, it was a very big event. We used to have like very well-known dignitaries come as the chief guests, and then you'll have the band playing, and you know, we have to go well-dressed, a proper social party with high tea. So we actually grew up with that kind of life, you know. And it was funny because we were called like the wild monkeys of HMI, but then we were exposed to all this at a very young age. Yeah, and I think that has really helped also. You know, talking to people, meeting, socializing, because it doesn't come so easily. So we were literally made to do that.
Nawang Gombu is giving you education.
Yeah.
That's the absolutely basis.
He was bent. He would make so much of effort to study, read. I remember he had so many books, and he would read it out loudly.
What did you feel after his Kennedy meeting and his awards there?
Kennedy again, like we were too young, but he
met the president of the USA.
Yeah, no. Now when you look at the albums and all, and then he says that when he was giving in fact, when it was in 2009 when I went up with Rigyal home, he took out a pair of trousers and he said, "This is the trouser I wore when I went, you know, met President Kennedy." And he said it still fits me because we didn't realize he was getting sick, and he had lost a lot of weight, so he fit him. So he was telling Rigyal, you know, I had the khada in my stomach, in my pocket here, And when I took it out, all the security, they all came with guns, they, because they thought like he's taking out something, and then he took out the khada, and because he was the most vocal and he was very jolly and all, so all the members somehow really got to like him more.
Just restart it. So with JFK, you have no other memories except.
No, we have a signed photo of the entire JFK family. They've given it to my father. It's in the album. I have that photo. It's in Darjeeling.
Where is that album?
It's all at home. I have to get it
what are
all.
you doing with it?
Right now, it's all locked up.
Rubbing it in.
It's all locked up. No, I have to go and allow me. I have to go and spend a couple of months in Darjeeling to sit and do all that. I can't go for
That is
1 week.
Very valuable.
I haven't had time.
More than you realize, madam.
I haven't had time. And then the whole family, in fact, when we were, I think, in class 5, 6, Jim Whittaker, with the help, JFK, the entire family was asked to shift to the US. So obviously our papers were totally correct because we have the US president saying that we should shift, and then Jim Whittaker and all were helping. We got all the papers done, and then everything was supposed to be shipped, but my mother refused.
Oh.
She totally refused because of her brother who went astray out there. So she thought that if you go to the America, you'll all go into drugs and become junkies. So she absolutely put her foot down, and that's the only reason. Otherwise, we were told to pack up. I remember all of us. We filled in all our forms, and okay, what do you want to take to America? It has to be shipped. So we were very, very excited to be moving off, but she refused. So we stayed back.
But retrospectively, what do you feel? She did good?
No, I think she did good. She did good because
Life is good
life is good out here. We got the education, fantastic education, and I think, as according to my father's wishes, like we all did well in our respective lines. So he.
Now you met Moto. He's a Ladakhi, and you fell in love and decided to marry. What was Gombu's reaction to that?
He was
I mean,
actually.
You were really happily said yes, get married. And
Yeah, he was. They were. I think because my sister was married to a Punjabi, my brother was married to a Canadian. So I think that was the closest to a Sherpa is a Ladakhi. So they were very happy. They were very happy. They had no qualms about it. And in fact, my father, he was very, very fond of Muthup. And I think he's confided maybe Muthup.
Where did you meet Moto?
Muthup would know a lot more of the stories because they used to sit down and chat more.
Where did you meet Gombu first?
Well, the first time.
If you don't mind, just keep on looking here.
Yeah.
Because my
The
microphones are here.
first time I met him was when I was brought to Delhi to Yangdu's elder sister house to meet him just before we got married. In fact, yeah.
Not in Everest Base Camp, Lukla. When you
But that one no.
you didn't meet him.
Met, I remember shaking hand with him, but I was just another, from the Everest thing. He won't even remember me. But literally, I think when I was really introduced to him was when he wanted to meet me who this guy is, who's my daughter is getting married to. And
but that was later on.
Yeah, much later. That was I think probably 1991. 1990. So 1990. 90 or 91, yeah. So, and then he was, he was not the person who was asking me most of it. He just met me, and he was very cool about what you're doing and things. It was other members of the family who were asking more questions, what you're doing, how you're doing, how you're going to.
In fact, even he was worried because trekking, what kind of business, like trekking, like whether we'd really do well.
Yeah, because he knew this field pretty well. He was very experienced. So he was worried that whether we'll make enough to sustain ourselves. He was worried.
Even in fact, that's why he was thinking of Mount Rainier. Then again, we started another round of letters so that he can go to Mount Rainier.
Oh.
But my father then got him on tried and then got him on the first expedition. He went to McKinley in '93 and climbed McKinley that time.
So went and I did a season on Denali. So I would have actually made a career out there because he knew everyone there and that was good. But then one thing I really knew right in the beginning that if you really want to make a good thing in India, I said we had to have an office in Delhi. all the other operators from Ladakh will have just an office in Leh, and they will be a sub-agent for all the daily agents. And what I said that if we have to do well, we have to be based in Delhi, competing
And we have
with
to
everyone.
do more seasons.
And then we
Spread
had
ourselves.
no gear when we started. He was worried, yeah, absolutely. When first we met, was how you're going to do, so I don't know what it was. Probably it was, then then he helped us. Like when we had the first group, I borrowed a couple of tents from him.
He gave us a couple of tents, 4, 5, 6 tents.
Then when I was on McKinley, whatever money I made, some money out there, and then I was short of some money. I borrowed some money out there from a brother.
Finjo.
And then
And you got
what I
notice.
had in mind is that if you want to open a company, you have to be the best. So the first investment we did was we invested into 5 wild country Kauser tent.
Very
No
expensive.
one in this country was using it those days. So we said like we have to have the best equipment. So we invested into 5 wild country Kauser tent, and they were the best tents those days, the top of the line, and that's how we started.
Then
And
every year kept adding a little
then
bit
we
more.
keep adding it. Then we had with one of our first group, we invested in a
Raft.
raft, and the raft also it was the best available raft. And then slowly and then we never had the money to publicize, but it was all
Word of mouth.
Yeah, I felt.
And it was rafting daily trips. We started off more like, I think the first thing we did was the Mera Peak, and that was when we bought the raft.
Yeah.
And then
So-
rafting also, like he would be guiding and I would be doing the cooking. So we didn't have, we just had one helper.
Yeah.
So one helper, Kancha, was there
Yeah.
to help me, and that's it.
So in all this, then what was Gombu Daju's any role? He was not a role.
No, he was like,
I'm just
Yeah.
concentrating on Gombu.
yeah,
Daju.
no,
Yeah,
he
no,
was,
remote
he would,
income.
because see, before he was doing, he was also doing side by side for extra income,
Yes.
small trekking. So
In-
then
in
obviously
Sikkim.
he helped in the sense, like if there were any of his friends wanting, like he would always recommend us. He always recommended us, and I think that's how we got in touch, like, doing for the 40th Everest anniversary with Jim Whittaker. So we organized that expedition, and then we've had a lot of some of his friends and all who will write. So we got to know all these people, like when Hornbein and all came. So we just got to know a lot of their, and it's nice. I feel happy because in fact in India not a lot of people would know, like, okay, people associate Gombu's children with Rita, but outside everybody knows me. They all know that I'm his his daughter, because he's made sure that we always stayed in touch and interacted.
What I remember, because whenever I used to come to Delhi, so he will always go to IMF,
Yeah.
and I'll always used to accompany him. And as a young, outdoors during my college days, people like Nawang Gombu for me these are they were like legendary mythical
Yes,
people.
yes.
So now he becoming my father-in-law, it was something which I had not imagined. But then I started talking. I used to ask a lot of questions about earlier, because because I was interested not just in the commercial part of the thing, but I was very much interested in the history of the whole mountaineering and the background, the politics. He was what I could I could sense that he was very much little bit thing about the politics which was happening.
Yeah, yeah.
In mountaineering.
In mountaineering, and
How the politics tried to keep them away from the limelight. That was one, and also later on he was also concerned about the little bit of politics which was happening from the Nepal climbing the Sherpas and the Darjeeling Sherpas. So he was trying to narrow that gap, and also I remember he used to quite a vocal in IMF about
he was very, very vocal.
trying to push the benefits for the Sherpas.
For the Sherpas.
And that I remember many
Yes.
times. I was about to tell you.
Yeah.
He always raised his hand and asked for Buddhist Association,
Yeah.
to Sherpa. Always
And he
just
did that
asking
for
money.
yeah.
Everybody, all members supported him. Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So that has sort of stopped now, because the IMF said that they cannot support any religious thing, or so I remember when he was on his last on the dead bed. That was the last check he received from the IMFE. I remember we put that into the thing, and all the Sherpas. There was one guy who had all his feet gone due to frostbite and all. So he'd always buy him new pairs of shoes and do these things.
Yeah. So it like he was he was pretty contented about what his children were doing. They were all doing fine, and there were certain things he was was very I think was a little I could make out that he was happy about was that we were started doing very well Remo expedition.
Yeah.
He knew that we were among the now or the which
Top
he would
club,
he would have never expected because when he started because he had a job and he was doing small treks.
Yeah, we used to just do
But then
1-2 treks a
they
year.
used to look at all the operators in Delhi as the main, So now when we were coming up, competing with them, doing well and taking on to this head on. So he was pretty proud, And in fact, just before he fell sick, that was 2011, I was telling Yangdu that, he just left a little early because he would have been really proud that
Yes.
we were the first Indian to organize expedition on Everest and successfully, and we were competing with the big operators in Nepal, and no Indian company had done that.
But then we also stopped partly because of him, because he was dead against commercial expeditions.
Yeah,
He was
so
really against.
That I am
Yeah.
frankly very
No,
happy
we
to
were
learn.
we
He's a
were
pure-
bent.
pure
I
person and
kept
heart.
telling
Yeah. So we did
say
a couple
no.
of years, but then really it was the conscious.
Yeah.
We said this is.
So
not
he
the way.
always wanted to organize. I said, so now you've organized it. Now enough, no more.
This the reason
No
I
more
wanted to organize was it was also some kind of I will say a big clash.
Yeah.
Because we had. I wanted to. The reason I wanted that we were capable of taking on to big mountains.
Anything
That
goes,
was the
yes,
reason.
yes.
And then what had happened was the first expedition which we actually won to the bid we won to take the Nehru Institute of Mountaineering expedition under the principal one, the first thing, the first Nehru Institute thing. We were supposed to, but the Nepalese operators all got together and said that when this company doesn't have a base in Nepal, how can they operate? And then I think that really made me go full
Yes.
throttle, and I opened a Remo expedition in Nepal. I registered there, and then I started. Then I stood against them and won the bid, and then operated all this expedition.
And
So
it was
once
very
I proved them all that we can do it, and we were the most successful operator
We were.
for 3 years.
And even on Everest, everybody would sort of get scared.
Yes.
And then our guys were saying, no, the year 2013 was the last time we did it. And 2014, when all the accident happened, all the Sherpas died.
In the ice fall, yeah.
And that time the people in Nepal were saying, Remo le jokhana hai, like Remo didn't come this year because this is going to happen, or why did they stop the thing?
Yeah.
But we said no more commercial. We just felt that something is disastrous, like because for us, Everest is something. My father, he climbed it more so that we get better life. So it was a respectable thing, no? So we respect the mountains,
Yeah.
and that's one thing he always taught us also, was no matter how small the mountain is, you have to always respect it. Never think that I can easily conquer it. He said all and because his best friend Ankami died
Yes.
on a very small mountain.
Yes.
So all that, like he said, never disrespect, never say that this mountain is small. You
They
have
are easy.
to easy. He's saying you have to always be
So,
careful.
Yeah. So
But that is what is missing today in
Yeah.
Indonesia.
So he said that.
and then I think he was very much concerned about the. I remember when in '94 when Pursumba came back, his brother-in-law, first time after almost about 30 years.
25 years. Yeah.
Yeah, close to 30. So when that's the time when they were trying to make up a documentary on his life. I remember, how this over commercialization of the mountaineering he was feeling. So he had this really grudge, why the community, the stakeholders is not trying to keep this that was, I think, he was concerned about that. And I also remember that the over commercialization using of the Sherpa, and so many Sherpas dying.
He used to make sure that insurance is done. So on all that, before the
did a lot about Sherpa community.
Yeah, because
that was really
he did not want them to suffer, and when they go out, because he used to get very angry if the Sherpas go out on expeditions without asking him, because he wanted to make sure that who are they going with, do they have their papers correct, that they're going to get the insurance, because a lot of people died and then their families really suffered. So he wanted to make sure that none of that ever happened.
Part 2 about Nawang Gombu with Yangdu Goba, his daughter. Okay, so now what other siblings of you, what Nawang Gombu's other children have done that you can say?
My older sister Rita, she was more involved in the mountaineering, and he never wanted me to go. The first mountain I went to was Sasar 4, and when I wanted to go, he started laughing also that you never climb, because I was a skinny, scrawny girl, and then I used to smoke. So it was really funny, because one thing, talking about a scaring thing, when I was in doing my basic course, I think, so was it my advanced course? It's a different base camp, and on my birthday, I received. He sent me a small card of, he had drawn himself of a mountain and a person on top smoking, and then he sent me a cake baked by the HMI cook and a packet of cigarettes. So that was his birthday present to me. I remember very clearly. Card, I don't know, but it was hand drawn. Yeah, it was somebody on the top smoking, and he actually, just to think of it, he sent me a packet of cigarettes and a cake, and then this card.
Wow.
When I was doing my advanced course.
A lovely person.
So he never really, he said we should smoke less and all, but he never sort of, And then when I went to Sasar Kangri also, he didn't think I would go anywhere close to the mountain. But he never really encouraged me for climbing. He was more bent on Rita climbing. So he felt that she was tougher, made of stronger stuff. So he pushed her. She went on after the basic, advanced, and I think he pushed her for I think she went on the pre-courses, Mana and all. I don't know whether there were summits. I don't think so there were. So for the Everest expedition also, he really pushed her, and I remember that time saying, even I'll go. He said, no, you won't go. So he said, no, Rita will have to go. So he pushed.
You had climbed Sasar 4.
Sasar 4, no, little below the summit I returned because of one of our members being really badly injured. But then after going on that mountain, I realized that I think if I had continued, I would have done it, because I was technically I was very sound, especially in my ice climbing. Even Latu uncle in the advanced course, he got angry with me because I refused to fix the hook up, and I just went free climbing up. So he used to get very upset that I had to do that. And in fact, in my holidays after college, Latu uncle used to take me, and we used to do a lot of rock climbing. So both my parents didn't like the fact that I was going and spending my time going up and down that Tenzing rock, and the back face, rappelling and all. So they didn't quite like that. But I always enjoyed rock climbing, and especially, I don't know why, ice. Ice is one thing I really loved ice climbing. So I feel that maybe if I had pursued it, maybe I could have done it. So he pushed Rita. And Finjo also, he did his courses, and because he studied at the United World Colleges, he got a scholarship. He went there, and then it's more, they stress a lot on outbound. So when he came back, he went as a guest instructor for an expedition, and they were going to, is it near Pandim? And then Pasang Siring, one of the instructors, Pasang Temba's son, since we all grew up together, children, we were close to each other. So Pasang Siring died on that expedition. So my brother was very crucial in bringing back the body, because he knew all the rescue techniques. He knew how to make a stretcher, get everything done, and so he brought the body back. And after that, he had an argument with the principal that HMI has got no infrastructure for all this rescue and all that, because he had just freshly come from England where he'd seen everything, learnt everything. So after that he vowed never to do climbing and go into climbing. He refused. And in fact, Mr. Serene thought that he would become an instructor, and in fact told him blatantly at his face, so you finished your college, now you have to join the HMI. So my brother said, there's no way I'm going to go join the HMI.
Anyway, he's gone great ways. So then how did your sister Ongmu did not interest in mountaineering at all?
I think she was way younger than us, and she was sort of pampered and, you know, just kept like safe, and, you know, so no hardships for her. So like no hardships. She went to HMI base camp, but she didn't do I think just the adventure course. The other courses also my father didn't really let her. And then she studied well, so, you know, he continued to let her study, and so she's doing extremely well, so he would have been proud.
Okay, now Gombu Daju, what was the sickness? You were sick, something major, or?
It was pancreatic cancer, but it was surprising that, you know, 2010, in fact, he had a medical checkup. I remember taking him myself, and the doctor said he has gallstones. And then they said, but it's not needed to be removed at this age, there's no problem. And that, I think that is our biggest regret, is the gallstone was not removed. Because the gallstone blocked the duct, and he developed jaundice and bile duct and pancreatic cancer. But it's like, he was pale, but he would do things a lot, and it just happened. It was like February 5th, I think so. It was February 5th in 2011. He was in Delhi, because my mother had she had a slight accident. So somehow everybody in the family happened to be in Delhi at that time. Like Neema auntie, she had come from Singapore, Latu uncle, everybody was there. So I had a huge gathering in the house, and that was like the farewell, like last dinner. Because exactly a month after that, Losar Day, when we called him, we found it very uncanny that he was not in the Chosham. He was still in bed. Then we spoke to Latu uncle. Then the girl in the house said, Papa's looking yellow. So I got worried, and then we spoke to Latu uncle, and Latu uncle said, no, yesterday, 2 days ago, he was pink. We walked to Sherpa Gumpa, we spent the whole day in the Sherpa monastery and came back. In 2 days, how can he turn yellow? Then immediately the next day I flew to Darjeeling, and when I saw him, I didn't like the look of him. I spoke to the doctor, his doctor, and his doctor told me, I'm dreading that it could be cancer or something, but you know, he was dreading that the doctors, you know, it'll cause a problem. So the minute we came down, and immediately they did the CT scan, and they said it was the final stage of pancreatic cancer. And he didn't want any other, the doctors also said it's no use doing chemotherapy and all, and he didn't want to, he only wanted to come back home. So it was very short, a very brief illness, I would say, because March and then April. So I'm glad that he didn't suffer, and I think I had all the morphine injections. I think I only gave him one shot. That was the only shot of morphine we used, because I was more like his, in charge of his pain. So I kept a diary, and then I was administering his medicines till the end, because I was sleeping with him also, and you know, I administered all his medication. I did it till the end. And he loves mangoes, you know. So when we were going to Darjeeling, it was on 12th or 13th of April we went to Darjeeling. Exactly, yeah. And then I bought a box of the Alfonso, his favorite mangoes. So every day I was giving him one. And the 11th mango he ate, and that's when he died. And the 11th mango in the evening, because he was having his food, Domanti was there, we were all chatting and all, and then he was in a hurry. His voice was very soft, but he just said, he wanted the mango fast.
Yeah.
He insisted I bring the mango fast. So again I brought the mango, and that's one thing he'll never share. A mango is something he has to eat the entire thing himself. So he finished the whole entire Alfonso mango. And then next morning he passed away. But it was like, you know, but yeah, it was I guess the cancer, but we were not really aware.
Quite good. I mean, he did not suffer.
He didn't suffer.
And passed away.
Yeah, he didn't suffer.
Lovely family.
So it was basically, I think, less than a month he was in bed. So he spent 2 weeks in Darjeeling.
That is good, you know,
He spent 2 weeks in Darjeeling. That's exactly 2 weeks. Not even 2 weeks, I would say, yeah, 11 days, I would say. Yeah, 11 days, because the 11th mango he ate, and then I remember then the 12th mango I put it in the chosham, you know. So it was exactly 11th, yeah.
And the funeral was big affair. I was
The
present. I
funeral
remember
was
quite
a very
yeah.
big affair, and the only problem we had was, unfortunately, the HMI principal, he was not letting us, obviously he didn't come down for the condolence and all, that's okay, but he was not giving us space for the cremation. He was just not allowing it, and he, for the funeral procession also, he was locking the gates, and he's saying, y'all can't enter from here, like, to go up to our house is just below the HMI, so it's very easy to just go up
Yes.
for the cremation, but he didn't allow it. So it was with a lot of letter writing and Larry interfering that we finally managed to open the main gate and use the HMI premises so that he would be, his body could be kept there for a while, and people can come and pay their respects, because he was not allowing that. He was just not allowing it, I don't know, for whatever reason, the principal.
And now where is he? I mean, he's got a statue.
So the statue,
statues,
he's got two statues. The one in HMI was, we wrote it took a lot of correspondence with the various ministers, but nothing was coming up in HMI. So when nothing was coming up in HMI, then Prasuma uncle and myself, through the Sherpa Buddhist Association, we pursued it with the Gorkha Hill Council and the Gymkhana Club, because it's their land, and they gave us that land. They gave us the land, and the Gorkha GTA, they gave us funds, so that statue was built there. So while that statue was being built, then I somehow landed up speaking to Colonel Chadda. He was there at he was the new principal. So we were just generally talking, and I said, I really wanted to have a memorial for my father out here, but the principal did not agree. So he's saying, why are you writing to all these people? I'm here, And then he looked out and he found my letter. So he's saying, he had put the letter away. So immediately he said, no, he definitely needs a memorial out here, befitting memorial, because they are the founders of the HMI.
Yes.
And he was very nice, so we said we want a proper, like a Chortan, the memorial, and in a lovely spot, beautifully done, and it overlooks our old house. So, and then the bust was done even very well by Calcutta artist, very well done, the architect has done it, the sculptor.
Lives on
Yeah, right.
And any letters you received about his funeral? Must be many after his death.
After his death, from the US, the day of his funeral, Jim Whittaker, Lou Whittaker and all, they sent bouquets of flowers. It arrived. The bouquets arrived just on time. And we received a lot of condolence and letters. So people from all over had actually come.
Yeah.
But
and where are those letters? Again, I'm rubbing it.
It should be up in the house. You have to get it done. I have the ones which I have in the house. I have some of them in the house with me. Then I have some old emails, that type of thing. And Finjo has written a very nice tribute. Nandini was asking him for it. He still hasn't given it, because he read it out at Mount Rainier. So Mount Rainier in 2012, the Whittakers, they said, like, Gombu had so many friends in the US, so they invited us, the entire family, and they held a beautiful tribute at Mount Rainier. So there were people from all over that came, and they all, personally, they were coming and greeting us, and they were telling us of so people were talking about his memories.
He died in 2011 or 12?
11 April.
Yeah, 2021 will be his 10th year anyway.
Yeah.
That's
2011.
And I really was thinking, I was telling him, I said, maybe in
was
his memory, I want to do a spot rock climbing, because he was very fond of rock climbing. I don't know, maybe in HMI, because the walls are really good out there and there's a good space. So something out there for his 10th.
And I want to do that. With all these things.
And I want to do the trust.
Yes. Thank you, Yangdu.